So then I go to contracts. PM contracts, yeah, there you go.
And if I remember right, you can make certain fields required.
Oh, yeah, yep. So if it's required that they put a tax code on every contract, like in that, yep,
Right here.
yep, you can make it required. And what's nice is you can tell it, and don't let them leave this field until they fill it in, which I think is a really nice, because it just stays there. They keep trying to hit tab, error.
Hanging you.
It never lets them get past there. You gotta like do something. You gotta put something in there. The other thing you can do is any fields that you're not gonna use ever, you can hide them, skip it. Because there's some stuff you're just never gonna put a, I don't know, a bill day in or something, or, you know, not so much on here, but there's other forms, especially on like time card entry or some of those other things. You're just not gonna ever use those fields. It's nice you can tell it to skip it and not show it. So, okay, so we have a department. Are we doing different departments now, or is that really what a department looks like?
That's what a department looks like.
Let's do an F4 there so I can.
So it's.
So you still have a few departments.
We do, yeah, it's by division though. So like a job is by division, so it'd be really for a real construction job would be this, just that. Yeah, for a special project job, it'd be this.
Okay.
For a field, service job would be that. Pure water job would be that and that. Typically, our jobs are going to be this and this, construction and special projects. The other one for that, so this is still in a division, but this is overhead. And so what that means is a potential project that we're, usually a large project that we have to do a lot of work for to try to get. And we have a certain percentage that we're going to get that job. We would spin up as a potential project to actually transfer to an 01.10 project.
Oh, so
we
you
actually
just track
awarded.
the cost there.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, good. And then the
really
service
well
stuff, is that, so that's different than work orders?
That would be different, yeah, and it's, we've had a lot of discussion on those, and what those make up, if they're a special type project or not, there's a certain threshold. I mean, Justin, we just had that conversation with John today. On Friday, we had that discussion with John, like what makes up a service project, right? It's not really a threshold cost amount, it's more of one they've chased, I think, or.
True jobs.
Yeah, so it's, but it's gonna be, it's just servicing, is that it?
It's just using, it's, they got their own sales basically, so if it's larger than a work order, then it would be a job that they would
Okay,
spin up,
gotcha.
type of thing. Pure water's a special division. They may have jobs where they just do pure water on it. We don't do, other things on it. Basically, it's just their division, so.
But these are all job costed,
Correct.
different from the service management,
Correct.
not part of the service department.
Correct.
Okay, and then the service department can work on jobs then,
Yes.
because you can assign.
That's right. Those would
Some
be jobs that were a construction division job where they needed service to come out and work on them.
And start the equipment and do.
That's
Okay,
correct.
cool. All right, that's good. And then we've got, let's see, customer, yeah, all right, payment terms. That comes defaults from the customer.
Mhm.
Retainage, yeah, bill date is just something that you can use on. That bill date, I've only found one place where it actually shows up. And it's on, at least so far, on the subcontract template,
Mhm.
there's a bill day, and it tells the subcontractor when their bills are due. It's the only time,
That's all it is.
I've never seen it anywhere else.
Okay.
I've looked around for it, and I only found that because I started doing PM stuff, and it showed up on one template sometime.
Oh, gotcha.
Customer contract number, okay, so you do have, if you go to the JV info, just that tab. Okay, so you have a customer reference too,
Gotcha.
just in case you want, that's already on reports.
Mhm.
If you didn't really want it to be, if you didn't want to have to use, go back to the info.
Yeah, what did we create this for?
I mean, you can put it, that's fine, I'm just saying, you do have
It's for
another.
the customer contract number, because most of the time when we get information from the client via email, collections, subcontract change order, they reference their number,
Okay.
they don't reference ours.
Gotcha.
And so There are a lot of times that we're trying to look up information and nowhere on what they've sent us tells us
Who they are, or what
what
job.
it is,
Gotcha.
and we have to cross-reference it back to our number.
Okay.
So we utilize that information a lot in our system.
So we have a field called customer reference.
Customer reference, and what is that under the job number?
Yeah, that's under the contract.
It's
So
the
that,
same thing.
that's the same thing?
Is it same as the customer contract number?
Yeah, this would be just any reference number that you want to use to reference the customer's side of things. Could be their PO or contract number.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Yeah.
You don't have
I don't
to,
think
you
we do
can
that
use
with
your
that.
own.
Why is it called something different though?
Because that's one that's in the system. This is one that we created as a user-defined field.
Oh, okay.
So here's the other thing you can do. In anywhere in the system, if you don't like our label, you can change it.
Change
Yeah.
the name.
Yeah, and you can do it globally,
Mhm.
or you can just do it right here.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Well, and sometimes the name of the project is different than the name we call it. I see that quite often.
That's a good point, because sometimes, and our thought is, in the software, is the contract name would be what the customer's calling it. The job or project name would be what we call it. So you could have two different descriptions.
Yeah.
But if you like it to be another field, because it gets confusing for everybody.
It does get confusing.
Oh, wait a minute,
I mean,
what's
even like, we just got a bond card and it's like the names off the bond card, if you were just looking at the bond number and the name, they didn't quite marry up to what our PM assigned the job at in SharePoint. You know, they might have called it building B5 and then it was called, you know, Microsoft B36 Cafe Refresh or something, you know, I mean, it's like, so
totally
then you're trying to
understand.
match up information and site addresses.
Yeah, and then they'll send
customer.
in something, and it'll be, there's nothing on there that tells you what it is of yours, and the check comes in, and you're going, okay, well, this is from these guys, but I don't even know what are they paying us for?
Right, especially if they short pay us or something.
Yeah, then you have no clue really, because they don't match it. They don't put your contract number on it, they
Nope.
don't put your
See it all the time.
description,
So
and they
how,
don't put your invoice number, and the amount's different. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
so
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go through
Yeah.
and delete this user-defined field.
No, I'm saying the suggestion, from my point of view, living the life that we live over there, is use the customer contract number for their contract number and then use that customer reference for their job
Oh,
description.
Yeah, just change the,
okay, I'll change it back then.
no, you're good.
Customer contract number.
That's okay, that's
No,
fine.
I would say customer job name or something like that.
Well, no, let's go back though. Let's just change your UD field to say customer job name.
So one should be contract number or PO number or whatever you want to call it, because sometimes it's a contract number, sometimes it's a PO
So
number.
maybe leave it.
And then the
at that.
other one is what they're calling the job, what their job description is. It doesn't matter in
You
what
can just
order
reset
you
the-
have them, as long as the description is clear.
No, that won't do it. I don't think. Oh yeah, you must have reset it. Okay, so
Yeah.
now go back to your info. Here, change that. You can do an F3. This is where you want it to be the name of the customer contract name. Right, their name of the whatever they're calling it.
So what I'm asking is when you see customer reference, do people interpret that as the contract number?
They do. In fact, our F1, if you do it, it says it's the customer's contract number or PO number
Okay.
is the actual F1 on
Okay,
that
so if
field.
that's the case, then yes, the other one could be the contract name.
And then here you could call it contract description or, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, so it's whatever you want to call this.
Customer
Job name.
job name.
And again, if you don't, yeah, and you might, there you go, perfect. Yeah, okay.
There we go. Good?
Yep. Okay. Looks good, okay. Tax code, is this, does every contract get a tax code?
It's going to get a tax code. It'll either be,
These are those envelopes.
It has to be something.
yes. It's either gonna be if we're having to charge tax, then it's gonna be the taxable code. If it's wholesale, then they'll select the one with the X that says non-tax.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
So
Oh, nice. Good job.
Yeah, so that
That's
is gonna
good.
be the tax, and then that's gonna be the non-taxable, so we can tell the difference between our retail and our wholesale.
So that field should be required.
It will, yes.
I thought we did that.
I thought we did
I
too.
thought we
Yeah,
did.
but if you make it
I think we
required.
did it in JC.
Oh, instead of the PM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're gonna be over here and somebody's gonna, I mean,
Yeah, it has to be required. I mean, ultimately, it would be nice to make it a requirement and
It
every.
should be a required field, but it probably should be validated by somebody in accounting.
You said it should.
It should be required,
Yeah.
but it probably should be validated.
Well,
They still need to
come through,
be, yeah,
yeah.
it should be one of the validation, because the thing is, you know,
It's
you
tricky.
gotta make sure the location, the site location itself, that it's selected correctly.
yeah, there's really no way to, I mean, validating it just means they're gonna go in and look at it.
Well,
Make
the thing
sure
is,
it's right,
they
right?
should go and they should look at the site address and confirm that the tax code that they've selected is
Is accurate.
correct based on the
We have
address.
some cities that have 3 codes based on where it falls, if it's in the RTA district or
Oh,
it's not, if it's on the
Unincorporated
county line,
versus county.
unincorporated county or in,
Because that's the one thing with the state of Washington is so when you're, especially with the tax that you collect, that code is how they know which county or which location to then send that money to. So,
yep, you try to go past it. Yeah, now it won't let you. Now you gotta pick one.
Mm-hmm. Where's your job at?
oh, that's down at Seattle, so probably select 1726X.
Yeah, these don't really,
X.
it isn't against the, I mean, if you pick one. So if you, so then now, once you go through and you start opening up those other ones, it's gonna error. Yeah, if there's any other contracts in here,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna error every time you, so for a while, we'll get a couple of errors if you've got a few in there.
so when you hit that interface taxes, then what does that perform?
So that interfaces the amount as a part of the billed amount? Are the taxes part of the billing amount, or are they just separate? So the
If it's a retail job, it would be on top of.
Are you talking about listing it separate versus built into the line cost?
Yeah, so, well, if I've got like that 5,645,003, the contract, is that tax,
On,
it's on top of that,
that
right?
would be
But
on top
I
of
don't
it,
wanna interface that to the job and say, oh, that's a billed amount. I haven't,
no,
right? Okay, that's what it does. Typically, it's not checked, because otherwise it'll say, oh, yeah, I'm gonna
it's gonna
interface it.
include it in, so if that 5.6 million included tax, then you would select that interface
Yeah,
tax
right.
versus
Yep.
it being the 5.6 million
Right.
plus tax on top
Right.
of that. That's why it needs to be
So
unselected.
how do we lock that down so PMs don't click that inadvertently?
Well, we can, do you think you'd ever use that? So you would
So
just,
even, me personally,
hide
I
it?
think that even if you received a contract where the tax was included, you'd want to back out the tax, and your original contract amount should be
Less-
pre-tax.
Less
Right.
tax,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in that case, even though you received, say, a PO or contract that included tax, you would still put it in the system pre-tax
and then just
and just add
charge tax,
Tax to it.
right? Because really your revenue is based on your,
just the contract.
The base price, yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
City of Seattle, on occasion issue the POs including tax. So
just
you
because
have
they
to-
gotta show it or something.
You have to pretty savvy on.
But you
Making
just
sure
gotta,
that-
So you would click on the interface taxes box. Yeah, just uncheck that. One more. Now do an F3. And go to system overrides. And then see where it says skip input? It's up
In the
towards the
first
top.
box in the
Way
default.
up here. Yeah, one more check and then one more check. And then tab down and then uncheck show on form. And uncheck show in grid. And uncheck include in form. Yeah, just all those.
Uncheck show on grid, right?
Yeah, uncheck show in grid, sorry. And then it's not letting me disable input. Interesting. So if I click there, I can't get to it, huh? How about if I uncheck skip input?
No.
Okay, well, that's all right. Then just click apply and OK down below. And it's at the system level, so nobody, unless they've got
So now it
forms
removed it.
administrator or menu administrator, they won't be able to see it. And if you go up to view and show hidden fields, see that second, you can always
Oh,
see
I
things
see.
that are hidden. I have to do that all the time because what we get is the sales version and they hide stuff all the time and move stuff around. Because I'm always looking for something, going, where's that field? Oh, that's right. Which is nice though. I mean, you don't have to see it. Some of them you can actually default input so they can see it, but they can't get to it. It's like, whatever that said, don't let them, it's called grayed out. So if you see a grayed out field, it's because somebody disabled input. All right, so our default progress type on this one is T&M. Is that your typical default? Build type is
Progress,
T&M?
progress.
Okay.
I thought it was on both before.
Well, a lot of times it's both,
Mm-hmm.
just because if you think you're gonna might do some T&M on a project, it's nice to put both in, because then you can do both T&M and progress. That's kind of our go-to choice. The other go-to choice is progress. Then maybe T&M, but that's, specific a lot of times to maybe we're adding a change order and it's going to be T&M. Or some customers actually do a lot of T&M work. And so then they pick T&M. Once
So it
you,
gives you the options.
yeah, that's right. All right, the work complete maximum retention. It's not used as much anymore. I don't know, do you have like, do they give you the ability to not withhold retainage after a certain period of, like when you're 50% complete?
Not normally.
Yeah, that's what that's for. Nothing to do with the real retention. It's just, the system will track it if you put in a percent or a limit.
We have on occasion been able to have some of our retention released.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, through the duration of the job. Maybe
Right.
we're 75% complete, so they'll release
I haven't,
half of our retention.
yeah, I haven't seen much of this. I mean, back, I don't know, 20 something years ago.
Oh, Sean, you're right.
It was more prevalent where they would actually allow you to stop. That's what that's for. It's like it could be 50% or a retainage amount. Okay, so we don't need that. The contract start month is just the month that probably you've entered it in here, or you picked that month. The month closed is a will not populate until you actually do the JC contract close. That's hard closing the project. Did we talk about soft close, hard close? Any of you guys remember that?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay, so there's a setting that you can pick whether it's okay to post costs to a soft close project. It's usually not okay to post them to a hard close, although you can get around it if you need to, and it gives you a warning that, hey, it's soft close. And typically that's because somebody over on the operations side has said, oh, we're almost done. We're probably not going to post much anymore. There shouldn't be any more costs coming in. Then over on the accounting side, they changed the status over in JC to soft close because you can do it over there. You notice here in PM, you're not allowed to do that. It's only on the JC side. So it goes from pending to open here. Those are the two. Over on the other side, you can actually change it to soft close. Manually, can't change it to closed manually. You have to run a process over there. The projected completion date, that's sort of when we think it's gonna close. So go ahead and fill one in. Like when you think this might end, I don't have a clue, that'll be,
What do you think, Isaac?
December this year.
Oh, 5/4/19.
oh. A ways out.
5/4?
Do
Yeah,
you guys actually put an actual date or just kind of a month and date?
Looks like a date.
Yeah,
it's usually meaningless.
Yeah, I'd put probably less, I'd just put like, I think May, but I'll use the end of the month, just because, who knows, but that's pretty good, 5/4, you had it right down to the
That's
actual
the
date.
potential
Well,
completion.
there it's 11:09.
By that Saturday, it better be done. Okay, so the days in, and what that does is when we get over to the forecast tab, it will allow you to do a rudimentary kind of cash flow forecasting thing.
Amortization.
It's not fancy or anything.
Yeah, we've looked at that a little bit, so we've seen.
But you have to fill in
Some of the
a start
concerns
month
there.
and that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had, I mean, some people say, it's okay, yeah, we'll use it,
Do you know if they're gonna, be improving on that a little bit?
Well,
So you can get that.
Yeah, I haven't seen
100%
that yet, but yeah, it'd be nice to,
Requirement.
I think they're starting to do more things
With that?
with that because, I'm hoping, I haven't, I don't get to do much in the office, so I'm not connected, but I'm hoping with the team thing that they're actually gonna have some more
Because the concept
stuff.
is really a
Yeah.
good concept.
I like the concept, I just wish I could actually, make the choice at a project level, or I say a contract level. It's at the company level. You either get to pick linear or curve, and that's your choice. That's it. There's no choice over here, other than I get to put the completion date.
Right, well, what I've been shown is they, whether it was bell curve or lineal, is that once they start manipulating, if they know they want to kind of man load the schedule during maybe the
Yeah,
summer months or
it
something, that it wasn't requiring 100% calculation
No,
at
it
the
doesn't.
bottom if you didn't know that you had built.
You gotta
Yeah.
change every line.
Right, every
Yeah.
month, you had to keep changing it. It wasn't doing the math for you, and you could easily make a
It's,
a bad-
right, and so I'm hoping that they're gonna revise that, but, in the whole, we're trying to make money too. And so the things we fix are the things that are gonna, we're trying to improve like service management and project management, maybe not the forecast tab, but maybe like the projections. And so if you, I don't know if either one of them told you this, there's an idea space
Mhm,
out on Clearview.
mhm.
They look at that. And so if you vote enough, so the latest thing is the font's too small. I don't know if you've noticed, it's pretty small on some of these. It doesn't grow. I've had that be like one of my major, hey, could you make it so I could change the font on this to be larger? Or at least allow, if it's on my windows that I'm using medium, to let me use medium in the software. So maybe that'll be something they fix too. But go out there and just record if you
Right,
get enough votes, I guess it gets in the,
get the idea out there.
yeah. But they're really focusing on team and field time. And they're actually doing some stuff in Vista more on the accounting side, I've noticed, which is
Service.
nice.
So they're
And
doing a
some
lot of-
service, yeah. And so 16, they actually fixed the account, or making the accounting work center better. Because when I looked at it, it was pretty, I don't know if that's going to be useful, but I think they're enhancing that. And they did the margin stuff on the projections for them. They're fixed that. That's a really great thing. And then some stuff in service to make it work a little better too. So, but it's really team, field, and office, the whole integration and what you can do in team and have it pushed back. That's what they're focusing on now. Okay, so the days in contract, that's just, it tracks those. So if you put the original days in, change orders if you add or decrease days, it will track that if you guys are LD, get LDs much? I mean, is that part of the,
They're
you
in,
probably never get them, but is it part of your contract?
they're in all our contracts, yeah.
Yeah,
typically.
so this is in order to track, so you're within that, you would put so many days in contract on the original contract, and then it would track those days. The current would be change orders, right? Okay, so.
What is that, Justin?
Liquidated damages.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so, because if you don't ask for days in change orders, they don't give them to you, right? If you say, oh, it's gonna take me more time to do this now, if you don't ask for any, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna give you any. It's kind of like, anything else in life. The items, that's our schedule of values line, so that just pre-populates with the import, we hope. The JV info, we looked at that tab. You can go to that tab. This is where, click in the processing group, just see what you guys did here. Nothing? Okay. So did you cover job billing at all with Dawn?
A little bit, and then he was starting to go over kind of the T&M process, because we do a lot of substantiated work with Corrine, but I don't think we got very far on
Okay, so
that.
we'll cover that from I sort of like to have the project managers complete the form and then just have accounting review it and do the interfacing, which means it posts it to the general ledger.
So Margaret's been working with Isaac and trying to post some AP invoices, produce some payroll entries, and then doing some approver groups. So
Okay.
Margaret and Isaac have been kind of tag teaming that process.
But as far as doing like a bill to the owner,
No, I don't
no,
believe that's
okay,
been
so we'll
produced.
show kind of the way I like to do it, but that doesn't mean, I like to have the PMs, like fill in the form, like this is what I think we should bill. And then, because they hopefully know, and then when it's done, they indicate that it's done, and then maybe accounting reviews it a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a piece that we're still wanting to.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that
option.
Thursday. So the reason I looked at processing group is usually I set one up called ready. That way when the project manager says, oh, it's ready for accounting, they fill that in and then you know that, oh, these ones are ready for me to look at.
Yeah, and what Corrine was learning was just, they were kind of working on like the rate templates.
Oh, so you were over in T&M, setting
Yes.
up rate templates. Okay.
Right. But
I
the progress billing
don't,
piece,
that's more
How about that?
Dawn's thing. Did you just create one?
Yeah.
Okay, you're like too good. So, but I would change it to be ready for interface or ready for the description.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I wouldn't put it in here to begin with.
Okay.
Sorry, but you did good. So this would just tell accounting that, oh, that one's ready for me to interface. But I wouldn't put it in here
Yeah.
because I don't want it to default.
Okay.
I want them to pick from it. Okay, so the customer reference would just be their PO number or
Contract.
contract number. The receivable type is just going to be an override if you don't want to use your current receivable type, which just tells the system,
Required.
oh, you must have more than one then. Yeah. So this is a way to get reports out, aging by receivable type. Not, and also to post to different GL accounts for AR.
will we be able to get aged AR by division?
So I think what that is if I go back there, if you do your choices, this is how you're doing it. That's your divisions.
Yes.
So we're using the receivable type as a way to do that.
Okay.
Because that's on the report and it's a really nice way, but they got to make sure they pick the right one.
Right, okay.
They all go to the same GL account, but the standard AR reports have receivable type as a way to generate receivables by division.
Okay.
You also have an AR aging that's by project manager too. And so you can pick and say, well, let's see, how's Isaac doing?
Right, so if you have a collection clerk that's working on some jobs and they're trying to work with their project manager. If they have
Yeah,
some
you can
accounts
see
that
all the ones that are assigned to him
attention.
and how they're doing and say, oh yeah, you're
form of jobs or being
Yeah,
fair as usual,
yeah.
let's talk, what can we do here? Yeah.
And then you get an overall one too, you can leave it blank and just get a whole receivable for everything. So the receivable type is really a nifty way, that's why it's required, and somebody will have to pick the right one. Distribution codes are ways to track gross receipts. I don't know if you're gonna use that or not, let's do an F4, see if you set any of those up, no? So that's more for like business licenses and things like that, where we had to pay based on gross receipts.
We do on occasion. So can you explain a little bit more on that?
So over in, in AR, there's a miscellaneous distribution code form that you can set up. And it could be, I don't know, City of Auburn sends you a bill if you're doing work in here and they need to, and there's a rate and it's based on gross receipts. So I put that code on every one of the Auburn jobs and then it'll track that. And it'll track gross receipts.
Okay.
I can run a
So we should
report.
probably review our license.
Yeah,
Methods on how they're.
yeah, California was every, I don't know, every single city had that. It seemed like.
Redmond hours, yeah.
Seattle receipts?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
I don't
really just for,
remember.
it's really if it's gross receipts based, I mean, some of them, and it's just a report, it's just the way to track it. You can also run some other reports that show you cash receipts
Mhm.
by project, and if it's, you can do that too.
Okay.
So there's other ways around it, you
Take a
don't
look
have
at
to
that.
use this one. Okay, so let's see, where are we here? Gross receipts. If this was a T&M, did that just populate the T&M template, Isaac, do you remember? Automatically for you? See where it says STD, SEQ? It's like right below the blue box. So that's where I would put, if I was gonna, had any T&M work that was being done on this contract, I'd have to put the template in here. So it would know which template to use to find the rates to bill, or how I was gonna, if it was a T&M project and it was cost plus.
Is this what you were working on, Kareem?
Yeah.
And so putting the template in there says, oh, I'm going to use this template to generate. Now, that's probably why it was a T&M bill type, maybe, because maybe Kareem was using it. But that's fine. I mean, even if we change it to B, we're okay. We can run it a different way. It just depends on how you initialize, which maybe you didn't even do yet. But yeah, it's a little... So you can leave that one there. I mean, typically, we use those standard ones and we copy those and we create one that matches your setups. And then we use that one, and then if we need to change it, we copy it and modify those, kind of like the payroll templates. We set one up and then we copy it for our different customers because they have different rates, right? They all are, some depends on who they are, how much we get to bill them based on a labor category. Does that sound familiar?
It
So-
does. I mean, we want the ability to have bill rates. And
Yep, and that's
have
what
them
you use.
predefined and then possibly have the cost side of it have either fixed rates or actual rates, depending on what. the
Yeah, and it
contract will support.
ignores those if you're doing a bill rate in the T&M side. All it cares about is the number of hours that came over. And it looks at the craft in the class and it says, oh, that belongs to this labor category. That's the rate I use per hour. And I can override it by employee in some other ways, and it's pretty nice. So that's where you put the template if you're going to use one. Report retainage at the item level. So if on the level AIA kind of billing, you need to see the retainage out in the far column, you have to check that box. If you don't, it just puts a total. So depends on the customer, I guess.
And that shows on the actual bill generated?
Yeah, so we have we don't call it the AIA document, we call it the JB Progress
Mhm.
bill or something. But it looks just like the AIA form, but it doesn't have the little AIA stuff down there.
Yeah.
I guess we get away with it somehow. But on the second sheet where it shows all the amounts that are being billed, on the far column, there's one that says retainage.
So by line item.
By line item, that
Yeah.
would be that, if you check it. If it's not, it just puts it.
It's a
Total.
at the bottom.
So, I don't know, depends on how they want it, I guess.
On the-
I don't know if anybody really cares.
Some require and some don't. We do a lot of billing now through Textura. I don't know if Vista creates a file that you can upload, but it's similar. It looks
yeah.
similar to the AIA, but it's just an
Yeah,
online
there is
billing.
it's usually, I think, on the sub side, but there is some Textura stuff over in the SL. I don't know if it actually generates one for your billing, because you're a sub to somebody, right? So you have
Right,
to
we're-
generate yeah, we'll take a
Sub
look
in
at
most
that.
cases, but we do operate as a GC sometimes.
Yeah, we'll look at that. I'll put down. There we go. Okay, so the rest of them are notes and then the forecast. So if you click on the forecast tab, well, yeah, let's talk about, sorry. Yeah, do yes. Okay, so here if you go up to File and you go to Forecast Initialize, and then you just click Initialize. Yep. So that's what it does, which you've already seen most likely. That's just, and that just defaults from whatever's set up over on the company parameters. And again, if you go through and you do all this and you change numbers, it doesn't really end up being the total. So I don't use it so much. So go back to your JB info though. I missed a few things. So you can override the billing address here. You can also override it on the actual bill itself. Down below, that's just some additional information that can populate for AIA.
Can you put, like, if we want the architect on the project required field, can we make that, I was asking Will if that could be tied to a threshold, like, because we have to provide that information on major projects. I know Will was saying, well, let's just make it required for all projects, but usually it's because we have to provide it for major projects. I don't know that we have to collect it for every single small.
It wouldn't be
project we do.
easy. It's not something I could do. I can make it required or not required, but if it was dependent on
Contract
a
amount.
contract amount, then you'd have to write some sort of like a
SQL statement or
SQL
something.
statement of some sort to say, oh, go look here and then make it required.
Mm.
Which
So
makes
easier
it, which is
just to make it
harder.
required.
Like
Yeah,
it here, basically, set up some type of procedure for validation.
yeah, really. And you're really saying, oh, this field is,
Yeah, I've set one of these up to
yeah,
here.
so you wouldn't get me to do that, but
Okay.
maybe Don might know how. If he doesn't,
Minimum value, maximum.
somebody
value,
at Big would know how to do it too, like Chris,
Mhm.
or maybe even Gina might know.
Yeah, we could talk to Gina and she
Yeah,
can
she
get us
might
the
be able
resources
to
to
do
do it.
that. If she doesn't know, there's other people there that are really technical.
Mhm. I mean, we could just make it required for now, but then maybe talk about a SQL statement. It's always specified.
Yeah, and so, you could, you're not really, you could enter something in there and you could put the message says, you have to enter the architect name if over how much, like certain amount. Otherwise enter not required or something. Because you can put that in the little message there because you really don't care. The only thing is it shows up on our standard form.
Mhm.
The name, that architect name shows up someplace.
Right, on the AIA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you'd probably want to put it in if you can find it. And then the other thing is there's a architect might have their own project number too. You can do that.
We'll do a warning, allow save.
Yeah. And if you wanna, there you go.
That would be go off, but
Yeah, so the project, the start date does show up on the form. I think it's the start date of the project, so it will show up on there. And then a more just description, I don't know if you care about their contract description. Typically, you don't care about that. So that's the contract.